because we are actually talking about alcohol and relationships, the correlation between the two, how it affects your relationship, what causes you to drink during your relationship, and so on and so forth. To help us discuss this, she's a very, 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 very capable woman to do so. She's a therapist, clinical psychologist as well. But welcome once again, Doc. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you ever so much.
Did you have a shot this morning before coming in?
No, I didn't.
You sure?
Yes, I am.
Breathalyzer?
Sure. Yeah, you can breathalyze me if you want. I'm actually quite all right. But yeah, we're talking about alcohol in relationships. And the thing is, nowadays, we're most likely to meet most of our colleagues or people that we're in a relationship over a drink. I mean, these are how social interactions are done nowadays. Wine tastings, and having a meal, sitting down, having a drink. But with that being the basis of a startup of a relationship, is that healthy?
Not healthy at all, because like you rightly said, alcohol has become everything to us, like our social life. Mm-hmm. And some people, even when somebody doesn't drink and they want to go out and they said, "Oh, can you come with us?" "Oh, that one doesn't drink, just boring." So we see it as without alcohol you can't socialize. Without alcohol someone is boring. So it's come to live with us, but that shouldn't be the basis, because if we look at it broadly, alcohol is a depressant.
It's a depressant, that's right.
And people sometimes get the first effect of the stimulant, of feeling the buzz and getting all excited, and people think that it's a confidence booster, it's a self-esteem booster, but then after a few hours you get the crash. And what happens after that? Because you lose yourself. So it can't be the basis for a relationship. Okay.
Now, there are situations, obviously, when, like you say, people do meet. For instance, they say go to a club. You go to a club, you meet a nice young lady, the two of you have a drink, inhibitions fall away, you have a wonderful evening, or so-called wonderful evening, and then the next time you meet, you're sober.
Right.
And then the conversation is different.
That's right.
The behavior is different.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because alcohol is a depressant, and once you drink the alcohol, what happens is that it actually slows down your thinking. It affects your central nervous system, right? Everything goes in the brain, and obviously we've got chemicals in the brain, what we refer to as the neurotransmitters and that. And there are various forms of it, various types of it. So it affects the ones that get you all excited, and what alcohol does is just arouse all those feelings and slow down your reaction time, and so you
that's
don't
why it's harder to
yourself.
say no.
Yeah, well, yeah, kind of. Yeah. So once you've done all of that, because that means that you're actually being controlled, if I'm allowed to use that, as if you're a robot, you're being controlled by a remote, and that remote actually is the alcohol. Right. So once that is out of you, then you're yourself, then that's a different story.
Okay. When does one realize that they're actually an alcoholic?
Okay. It starts from recreational, and sometimes even with age and that. It starts from recreational, where we just go out, we have a drink, or maybe you just go in the fridge and just drink a little, or let me just have a glass of wine with my food and that. And then gradually, it gets to a point where people would say, "Oh, I have to drink before I eat. I have to drink before I go to work." I would prefer
on your appetite.
That's it. That's the right word.
Appetite.
When you know it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So where you have to have it every day. Then normally that it started with socializing, like with your friends and family. But when it gets to the point where you need it when you're alone, I'm sorry, my voice is a bit crooked this morning. Right. Yeah, and then you need it when you're alone. You need it before you go to the office. You need it to even think in your own ways, think straight. And I don't normally call it the alcoholic, more of a problem drinker, because that's when you develop tolerance, and then you're basically dependent on it. Because people don't realize that every morning you wake up and you need it, in the afternoon you need it, in the evening you need it all the time. So it's not about you controlling the alcohol, but the alcohol is controlling you. So that means you've gotten to the point where you can't do anything. That's when the addiction sets in, because the addictive behavior bit is exhibiting itself. At that point, yes, that person is an alcoholic.
In regards to the effects of alcohol, how can these manifest in regards to relationships? What are some of the signs that we can see within a relationship that we know that there's an element of alcoholism or fueled by alcoholism at a certain point?
where maybe the person is coming in with lots of drinks, but bringing them home, or staying out late and coming in intoxicated. Lots of accidents, whilst the person is also under the influence of alcohol.
Okay.
Lots of accident in terms of motor accident or accident at work.
Okay.
And then lots of arguments.
Okay.
And it also affects sex drive as well.
Right.
So when all these things are coming up, then you have to ask yourself the questions, what is actually going on here? And again, when the person says, I need to drink before I do anything or everything basically, then there's a problem. And then you realize the communication between the two people in the relationship, it's not as good as need be, because one person is actually using their coping mechanism is alcohol.
Is the alcohol,
yes.
Right.
So it becomes really difficult for them to communicate on the same level. Yeah.
Okay, because I mean, obviously, you have situations whereby if people are in a relationship, male and female, you find that something blows up. First person, or so what somebody does, go quickly for a drink.
Exactly.
And they, the term, I'm trying to cool my nerves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a red flag. We should be looking at those kind of things.
Not all the time. I mean, sometimes people just do that, and it helps because we said alcohol is a depressant. It helps you to calm down.
Okay.
It helps you to calm the nerves and everything, because obviously it's got that depressant sort of effect. But at the same time, there are other signs. If somebody says that, you need to look out for other things as well. Is it all the time? Is it whenever there's a problem, he's out there or she's out there getting a drink? What kind of drinks does the person buy when they go out? Are you having financial problems? Like every time salary is gone, I don't have money, and you're not sure where the money is going. If you have a joint account, what's happening to the joint account? And if he's going to work late or sleeping till very late, other factors, like you look at health as well, complaining of headaches or other pains, and then dehydration. And also, if it's really bad, you can see the shakes when they're talking,
right.
Or early morning, they're really struggling to put themselves together to get out. So you have to look at so many different signs, and that will tell you that there is a problem, and the problem is actually affecting the relationship, because once they start drinking, it's very, very difficult for them to actually communicate properly.
Okay. Children.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring children into the situation, because obviously
I love that.
Children will be witness to certain things within the household, and may not be aware of actually what's happening. And obviously, we need to be setting a good example for our children going forward. How can alcohol be, or how can it affect the whole family dynamic in regards to, especially when it comes to children?
I'll say that a very, very high percentage of domestic abuse is actually from alcohol, the use of alcohol in the home.
Okay.
And when that happens, the violence, the intimidation, the emotional abuse and all that, and when couples are fighting or going through whatever they're going through, they just leave their children out. And I always say they are the silent sufferers, because mommy and daddy don't even have the time or think back that what is happening to my children. It's like, okay, we are fighting and it's just between us. Don't get involved. And yesterday, I think I had an incident like that where daddy and mommy are always fighting, and daddy is just beating mommy every day, black and blue.
Wow.
And because of that, one of the children is actually had a mental breakdown. And when,
how old
mommy
is this
tried, he's actually, he's about 23 years old now.
Okay.
But he just can't cope at all.
Yeah.
And because of what was happening at home, he felt that he was the cause of it, because if he hadn't come into the world, mommy and daddy wouldn't fight, because from the stories that they've been telling him, they were very, very happy before they started having children or before they had him. So this is like, I came into the world and now they don't love each other anymore. And then the insults at home, the kind of words they use, and neighbors are also his friends, so they can hear all that. And that, they don't realize the impact. And these people, these children are going to grow into adults as well. And the disturbances, like this particular case I'm talking about, he said, when I go to school, I suffer. I can't read, I can't do anything, because sometimes they fight in the middle of the night and I can't sleep until morning. And in the morning, I have to go to lectures as well. And that is just impossible. So if you listen to stories like this, you realize that even though the child is not directly involved in the fighting or the domestic...
They're still holding themselves responsible.
Exactly, because they are in the house. So that's something that, I'd just say to the public that is very important. Whatever you're doing, whatever, in terms of drinking and that, you need to think about the children as well. because they may not be directly drinking. And then there's another thing to it as well. You know, children see parents as role models. They are the first role models that they copy before they copy.
Yes.
They pick one from outside like yourself. But so whatever they do. And then I've come across clients as well who said, you know what, I used to live with my uncle and all he did was just drink and beat his wife. So I thought it was normal. So I couldn't wait to grow up, you know, to do the same. And one day he just beat his girlfriend so much he was arrested and put in prison. And that's how come, you know, he came into contact with me. I said, why did you do that? I said, I just thought it was normal because any time that he drank, and I thought it was cool actually, because my auntie was so afraid of my uncle. And then she wouldn't even say a word in the house. She was always quiet. So I thought, oh, this is good. You know, I'm the boss. You know, so we have to think about all these things because whatever that is going on in terms of the drinking, these children are actually learning
watching
or copying and watching everything. Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about trying to deal with alcoholism within a relationship.
Yeah.
For instance, if I'm in a relationship with a woman, I realize that she has been drinking a little bit too much. How do I approach the situation? How do I approach the fact that there may be a problem and try and get help with it?
Yeah. Can I just say, lots of people think that the best way is actually screaming and shouting, throwing the bottles away, and
that's the African way.
That's the African way because we're in Africa. So yeah, screaming and shouting and calling names and all of that, but that makes it worse, Benny. What you have to do is just empathize with the person. You know, and most of the time I have this cycle, I don't know whether people know about it. It's called the cycle of change. And we have like 4 or 5 different stages. The first is pre-contemplation. That is where maybe everybody says, or hubby is saying to wife, or knows that, you know what, actually, sweetheart, you've got a problem. You've got a drink problem. Mommy is saying, daddy is saying, grandpa, everybody is saying, and then the wife is saying, actually, I don't have a problem.
Right.
So they don't know, or they don't admit.
Acknowledge.
Then they get to the contemplation stage where it's like, okay, I think I've got a problem. So you have to know the stage at which some people will just come clean and say, you know what, it's true, but I don't know what to do. Okay. But when you as a spouse or you as a husband need to just look at or ascertain the stage where your wife is, that she doesn't even know she's got a problem, and that's the difficult bit. So you need to find a nice way of saying, sweetheart, actually you have a problem because you're drinking a lot.
To admit it. They say the first step towards recovery is admitting that you have a problem.
Exactly, the awareness, because some people don't, and that's the difficult part. But you don't use negative way of getting
people try and do that a lot. You know, lock people in a room or, you know, separate them completely from alcohol. Does that work?
I'll say yes and no. Right. The
50-50.
reason I'm saying is yes, because of the dangers.
Different people.
Because we're talking about something that is very addictive, and somebody drinking over a period of time. And I hear people say, "Oh, stop drinking. My New Year resolution is to stop drinking." How much is the person drinking? First of all, you have to talk about harm minimization. That's harm reduction in terms of this person has been drinking for so long. So you have to look at, are you drinking a bottle of vodka a day? Okay. If you're doing that, that means over a period of 7 days, you're drinking 7 bottles. Now, you can't just say to this person, stop. What you can say is, okay, can we just try and maybe go to 1/3 or half a bottle a day? So the system gets used to, the brain gets used to.
So weaning them off.
Weaning them off slowly.
Right.
And then if you take them to a medical doctor or a psychiatrist, or maybe they put them on something like diazepam, Valium, or some, which helps with the anxiety, the shakes, and that's what you're talking about, the cold turkey and that. Because the body can go into a shock and they can collapse. So you need to have a slower system of doing it than to say, you know what, if you don't stop drinking by tomorrow, I'm leaving you. That is very harsh. And that makes
send you to a prayer camp after.
Exactly. And even when they stop, the probability of them going back is very high because you didn't give them that period to wean off the drink.
Okay.
So relapse is quite high.
Okay. Yeah. So it's gradually weaning them off the alcohol rather than cold turkey cutting them off, because that could happen.
Unless, of course, you take them to a rehab. That's a different thing. If they're in hospital and being observed under medical situation, they can go into the cold turkey because obviously they're giving medication, they're giving drips and that.
Yes.
So the body doesn't go into the shock. But if they are at home detoxing without any medication, without any support, I'm locking you in the room, I'll take the key out and I'm going to leave you in there.
Dangerous.
You might just get some bad news.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very, very informative. Now, in regards to, because obviously we have very lax laws when it comes to alcohol within our country. We can send little ones to the bar to go and get us whatever we need. What is it that you feel that needs to be done in regards to the control of the alcohol at the moment?
I think at the moment it's very difficult to control the alcohol itself, but it's about educating people, educating families, the high schools, making it part of the education, like sex education and that. So it's about people knowing the dangers of alcohol, sending the information to the people and letting them know that it's real. Like a program like this, obviously somebody is watching, somebody is listening, and then they're thinking, wow, so is it that bad? Because it's actually happening, and I think it's 1 in about 5 or 6 families going through this. And it's important that people are aware of the dangers of alcohol, because like we said, people are drinking so much they don't realize the dangers involved. So, and also maybe, Benny, you know what, I think I'm struggling to answer your question to some degree, because how do we control alcohol? Because in any average shop, or is it bar around, they sell them. So do we have anybody, any association, any whatever, that really can go around and say you can't sell or you can't sell? So for me, it's about educating the public, educating the children, letting people know the dangers involved in drinking too much or drinking the wrong stuff, because there's so many wrong stuff out there as well. And the quantity, because somebody would ask, oh, you said when I drink, I don't drive. How much is okay? What do I have to do? Why is it that I can't drink and drive? Okay, it slows your reaction time, so you don't even know the other person is coming close, and all of that. So putting that into advert form, educative form, and putting it into the Azonto and Al-Qaeda dance, and people will get it.
Good point. Doc, once again, I want to say a big thank you for coming in and helping us discuss this particular topic. And if you're out there and you're facing any issues in regards to alcoholism or in your relationship, then the first piece of advice is acknowledge the fact that there is a problem, and then you can start getting help.
Sorry, and there's support out there as well. So
there's lots of support, like yourself.
Yeah, come to me at Valley View Center, and we'll help you. Valley View Clinic.
Thank you very much, Doc. All right, so we'll be back in a few moments with